There we go.
Yeah. Hey, Alex, how are you?
How
Hey,
are you?
everybody. This is Jason Partenza here with Wilton Soccer and also in partnership with the Wilton Youth Council. Wanted to get together here with my friend Alex Grano, who many of you may know from around town from his remarkable running exploits. He runs all over town and does so with great speed and commitment. And we thought we wanted to take some time to just learn a little bit more about Alex, hear his story. He's got a lot of interesting things that we could all learn from in terms of his abilities to really inspire other people with his actions. So wanted to just take that time and let Alex tell us a little bit about himself. So thanks everybody for joining. Alex, how are you today?
It's good to be here, Jason. I'm well. How are you?
I'm good. It's really great to see you. I think we caught up the other day over a cup of coffee and we talked about a lot of things that we could touch on. So I wanted to sort of go through that with you and just let you do some talking if that's okay.
That's fine. That works fabulous.
So Alex, why don't we just start with a little bit about yourself?
Okay.
Maybe some simple things like where were you born and when did you get to Wilton?
I was born in Mexico City and then moved here with my parents in 1994. We first lived in Stanford while I was undergoing treatment at Yale New Haven Hospital, and then we moved here to Wilton.
Wow! And so did you go to school in Wilton?
I went through the Wilton school system, K through 12, and preschool at the Wilton Y, and then at the Wilton High School.
Wow! Favorite. I have mine. I'm just kidding. Did you have a favorite school? Do you remember?
Let's see. It's a toss-up between Miller Driscoll and the high school, I would say.
Yeah, that's good. And cool. So when you were in school, what did you kind of like most about school, or what were you doing after school? Like what was the best part about school for you here in town?
Really learning from each of the teachers' different perspectives. They brought in not only from the subject view, but also from their life. They connected the lesson to with an own personal twist. And that brought a whole different dimension and more knowledge from the outside world rather than just from a textbook.
Yeah. There's a lot of great teachers in town.
I feel I learned a lot through the schools here.
That's great.
Not just academic.
Yeah. Very cool.
But so a lot of life lessons too.
And I'm also a product of all the Wilton schools, so I feel that as well.
That town connection, sort of.
Yeah, and they also, I think we also had a lot of opportunity to do things outside of just education. What did you enjoy doing from an activity perspective, and maybe how did that connect to what the running world that you've gotten into?
Well, I did. In high school, I did a lot of the public speaking in the theater arts program.
Mm-hmm.
And then through my own end, I also trained with a personal trainer. And that in conjunction with going to Nantucket as well in the summers, got me into running on the beach, is where I got my start.
When was the first time you went for a run and said that this is pretty cool? Do you remember your first run?
It was about 10 years ago or something like that.
Yeah. And were you still in school then?
I was still in school. Yeah.
Was this the run around the high school?
Exactly.
Tell me about that. What was that? How'd that go? It was a good story.
It was a very hot.
I walked you into this question. I knew you were going to.
Yes, you. Yes, you did. It was a it was a hot spring, not quite summer because we didn't go to school in the summer day. And for some really weird reason, to which I still cannot figure out to this day, I decided to take my shoes off.
Yeah.
It was, yeah, really warm. I didn't burn my feet, let's put it that way.
Yeah.
And run around the high school campus just a couple of times during free period.
Were you being chased or were you?
No. No. And it was really more of a jog then, but.
Yeah. And did anybody notice that you were running without shoes? Or?
I want to say it was Principal Canty at the time.
Okay. So what did he have to say?
He kind of just gave me a look. Never said don't do that, but kind of just gave me a look.
Yeah. And what did
and he kind of smiled.
Yeah. And after after that experience, it seems like you haven't stopped running. Like, what did you feel in that moment that inspired you to get out there the next day and the next day?
It felt almost. Should I word this? It felt good, almost. And then that summer, I believe, is when I did Nantucket, and then I really got my running on the beach, which is where I developed more, because of the sand, that helped develop some of the strengthening with the balance, because that would my feet would go down deep.
Yeah. That's interesting. Most people think of running in the sand as very difficult, but that was helpful to you.
It's helpful because it's firm, but it's also the support of the shoe going down in the sand.
Interesting.
Which helped.
So you kept running. You started running barefoot, then you started running on the beach, and then you came back to Wilton and you kept running.
Yep, on the weekends with Dad would walk at the track and I would run the school campus down to Allen's Meadows and back while he was doing the track.
Yeah.
Walking the track.
He was walking the track and you were running all around.
He did not run.
Right. And then you after running, I imagine with your dad and by yourself for a bit, at some point you decided to do a race?
One weekend we had seen it in the newspaper that there was the 5K at the high school for the Memorial Day. And yep. I think Mom had left the paper out on the counter and the ad was there. And I said, this looks cool.
Yeah.
And I finished in 42 minutes, but hey.
That's amazing. And that was sort of the same.
That is what started it all.
Yeah, I think that was the Wilton Education Foundation 5K. Is that right?
Exactly. And that's where I met you guys.
Oh yeah, that's where we met at that race.
That was the first time.
I was probably the guy pushing a kid in a stroller.
I think it was Ava back then.
Probably, yeah.
I do think it was Ava.
That's probably right. So you ran that race.
Yeah.
And how did that race make you feel? And it seems like running became a casual hobby to something else after that.
It became something else entirely.
What is that? How would you describe it now in terms of your goals? Yeah.
A passion and a deep interest, to say the least.
Yeah. And so what does that mean? Like, what does a day, a week look like for you in terms of running? Like, how many times are you running? What kind of miles are you running? What are you doing every day to kind of fuel that passion?
3 days during the week, 2 days during the weekend, and 2 days of rest. Between 3 and 5 miles during the week and about 6 to 7-ish miles on the weekend.
Wow.
And then a timed run on Sundays, 60 minutes.
Wow. That's a lot of running. Which day is your favorite? The rest day or the running day?
The running day, of course.
I prefer the rest days, and I do a lot more of those. All right. So, what other races have you done?
Let's see. I've done the 4th of July Firecracker 5K.
Yeah.
I do the Thaxton Law Fairfield half.
Yeah.
I did a 5K up in Niantic on the shore.
Okay.
A couple of years ago, and that was fun.
Yeah. And
then, of course, eventually I will do New York City.
Yeah. So you've dominated the 5K circuit. You've done the half marathon. Well, first of all, how hard was it to get from the 5Ks or maybe the 10Ks perhaps to a half marathon? That's a long way.
It was a difference, but it was more like just adding. It was more just learning to surpass the 5K threshold, the 10K threshold, and learning to last for the other miles.
Yeah.
Training my body to run longer distances and not go as fast at first, but speed up toward the end.
Yeah. Now, for me, running at all is difficult, but running really far is very difficult because I have a very short attention span. But what's the harder part for you? Is it the physical, like just going that far, or is it the mental and the preparation on the mental side?
The preparation and the mental, I would say. Definitely the training is harder, and then when it comes down to race day, it's all in the head.
Yeah.
Keeping focused, keeping your eye on the target.
Yeah.
Remembering to hydrate.
Yeah. Yeah. Tell me about. Yeah, I am definitely weak in the mental capacity area, but I can appreciate those who can run far distances. It's very impressive. Tell me about your like the team around you that helps you to achieve your goals. I mean, you have your family, your friends, others, trainers. Like who do you rely upon to be really helpful?
Well, first of all, my mom, who's extremely supportive of everything, and does everything she can to help me get to where I need to, the goal, the end goal. Be that helping with the nutritional aspect of it, helping, take me to the races, what have you.
And was she? How does she feel about your running? Maybe today versus when you first started.
I think she is very, very proud.
I'm sure.
I think so.
Yeah.
I think my dad would be very, very proud.
No question. And what about you do some running with groups, right? And have some trainers.
Yep.
How does that? Who are those groups? And then how do you prefer running more alone or more with groups or more with a trainer or all of the above?
Running with a group, definitely.
Yeah.
And actually, it's kind of funny. When we first moved here to where we are now, the condo in town, I went out for a solo run one day, and they ran past me going towards town. I was going up towards Olmsted, and we kind of connected. And basically, the rest is history.
Which one turned around?
Kelly, and Dina Lipsey.
That's awesome. You guys started, you were running at each other, but then you started running the same direction and have been running the same direction since.
Exactly. And then as it so happens, I actually went to school with two of Dina's kids.
Oh, so amazing.
We already kind of knew each other.
That's amazing.
I don't think she recognized me at first, but I think it took her to kind of realize, okay, he's running now.
Yeah. And then what about the training, the coaches? What kind of coaches do you use?
I use a strength coach who, because of obvious circumstances with the virus right now, I'm not able to train with indoors, but when we can, we're going to train outside. Hopefully, we'll see what happens. And
Yep.
with him, I do a lot of weightlifting and balance stuff to help improve my core strength and make me more stable on, improve the balance and stability and all of that.
Yeah. And some people don't recognize how much strength training matters in running. Have you noticed a major difference since you started versus when you started with strength? Yeah. Yeah.
I noticed my balance is improved. I noticed I run straighter, so to speak. I can run without stopping, which is a huge step, because I used to not stop and go with water. I used to stop completely about every mile.
Oh, wow.
And now I stop about 10 seconds for water, enough, where we would stop at the table for the 5K pass and go.
Yeah.
I can stop, take a swig, put it back, and just go now.
Yeah, that's amazing.
Like 30 seconds and I'm good.
Very cool. And you attribute that to that strength and balance.
Strength, balance, learning, building up my endurance through the training definitely has helped.
Yeah. And I bet the confidence and just that your strong mind, like you said, just being committed and focused. Yeah. And very, very cool. Now you've been able to kind of channel all that, that training and that commitment and the team around you. You were, I think, signed up for the official New York Marathon last fall, right? November?
We all were. Yep.
Last November, yep. And unfortunately,
that got canceled, and then
a small pandemic happened and it got canceled, right?
Well, technically, in race terms, Jason, deferred. We got deferred entry to when they run it again.
Okay. But you didn't wait for the race to just come back, right? You did something else.
No. What we did is we ran from Richfield down into New York State through, I think, 2 or 3 towns, and then down into New Canaan, and then finally ending down in Darien near the water.
You ran your virtual New York City Marathon.
And then Darien is where it got interesting with the rain, if you remember correctly.
I remember. I wasn't running at all, but I remember being cold and wet.
Yes.
I was properly dressed for that sort of weather, and I know that the runners were not. So I have lots of respect for those who finished that race.
Bless Mom for going into Darien running and getting me an on jacket so that I wouldn't get completely, totally waterlogged and cold so quickly, I would say, although I ended up getting waterlogged.
Yeah. You ran the last how many miles in basically a downpour, right?
I think it was about 7 miles in the cold.
Yeah.
It took a number of hours because of, number one, the reduced visibility and the slippery roads, but
yeah.
I do think that probably would have been a little quicker if it hadn't been for the adverse conditions.
Yeah, well, I think everybody would, again, everybody and anybody who runs in those conditions, it's impressive to finish a marathon like that. Did you cross your mind to stop and say, I'll do this another day?
Oh, heck no.
No, you were going to finish no matter what.
In fact, several of them actually said, do you want to finish on the I think it was actually Heather, who said, do you want to finish it on the treadmill in the store? And I said,
oh, interesting.
Heck no. and so then we did loops of Corbin Drive, which is around the cul-de-sac loop around where the store is.
Yeah.
For the last couple of miles.
Yeah. And
mile loops.
What was the feeling like when you got to 26.2? What was that feeling like? Knowing that A, you finished a marathon, but B, in those conditions.
I actually just do this.
Yeah. Like,
am I living this really?
Yeah, I think we have a great picture of that. Did you, was it one of those things where you sort of, knew you could do it, but you couldn't anticipate the feeling of it until you had accomplished it? And it was.
Exactly.
Yeah. Yeah. I remember we'll share the picture with folks in due course here, but you can see that in your just your body language and your smile that you felt something special there.
That was a very special moment crossing that finish line. That last loop, and then seeing the ladies at the end holding the finish tape.
Yeah, it gives you chills, right? Gives me chills just thinking about it. Not because it was cold, but because it was special.
That was one of the most special moments I can remember.
Yeah, and how long did you train for that?
Several months.
Yeah.
But really, to get to that point, it was a buildup of several years, to be very honest with you.
Yeah, for sure. I bet. Okay.
Forget the marathon training just to get to that point.
Yeah. And what did you say when you signed up for a marathon?
What did my mother say?
When you signed up?
I didn't tell her at first.
Oh, okay.
I don't think you know how this went down, do you?
No. If you're willing to share, I would love to hear.
I signed up post-run. And then I told my mother.
Okay.
And a lot of other people who we know knew first before my mom even knew.
And did she find out from you or from others?
I think in the end it was from me.
Okay. Or at least she pretended that it was from you?
I think so.
She's a good sport. No, she probably did find out from you, and it was a lottery though, right? So when you signed up, you didn't know you got in, right?
I tried through the lottery first, but then I also did through charity, Team for Kids.
Oh, okay.
And that's how I got in.
So you raised money?
Yes, I did.
Did you do well on that?
I raised my goal. I met my goal, and it all goes to help inner city kids with sports programs.
That's awesome.
Sports programs for inner city kids so they have something constructive and good to do after school.
Oh, fantastic.
And safe.
Very, very cool. So now, because you got into that marathon and it was deferred, but you already ran it, you have the opportunity to do it again?
Heck yeah. In either later, whenever NYRR basically says it's safe, but it was worded at first either 2021 or 2022 or 2023, whenever they have it again, whenever the city lets them legally have it.
That's great. So you're training again?
Every single day, except 2 days a week for rest.
Yeah. And what's your next race?
Let's see. A half marathon.
Well, is there a little one in between now and then, maybe? Oh, TBD, maybe.
TBD, yes.
Maybe it's back to your roots, right? There might be a Wilton Education Foundation 5K. There might
be a little 5K with the group, yes.
Yeah, we can get that together. We got to navigate the environment, but if that happens, you'll probably be there?
Probably, yes.
Yeah. And that's usually like in May, right? The end of May?
Totally.
And then the half marathon's in a few weeks later, right?
It's usually the first weekend in June, but this year, because of everything, they're doing it the weekend before the last weekend in June.
Okay, got it.
I think the strategy behind it was to allow more people to get vaccinated before having that humongous amount of people, which is already reduced, but before having that big group of people line up at the starting line. I think they want to get more, at least the majority of people vaccinated.
Yeah, they should be there by then.
Obviously, nobody's going to take it, but if the majority do, then it's herd immunity type of thing.
Yeah.
Then it'll be much safer.
Yeah. Well, like I said in the beginning of this call, watching you run around town and seeing your commitment to it every day is something that we all can learn from, not just because you run far, but because you have this spirit about you that's committed to your goals and accomplishing your goals. you get out there every day. I'm sure every day it's not as easy as it looks for you, but you get up every day and you do it, right?
Some days, I will admit, it's more challenging than others. My times are not always the fastest that I would like, but my goal every day is to do the best that I can do.
Yeah.
Even if it's not my fastest day.
Yeah.
Just the fact that I put in the miles builds the strength for other runs too.
Yeah. That's actually a really good segue. What, if you had to give some advice to somebody who's never run before, what would you tell them?
Register for your first 5K. Do not run it for time, but run it to finish. It's not going to be the best time in the world. Trust me. But you will finish, and it's that feeling of accomplishment that will make you say, I want to do it again. And you will do it again. And you'll find it becomes addictive, so to speak.
Yeah.
Much like your favorite candy. You never want to stop eating it. You'll never want to stop running.
That's great. And then what about, so you grown in town, you've with your peers as a child, and also kids around town. What sort of advice would you give to young kids who are trying to think about their goals, whether it's in sports or school or running, just based on your own experiences? Like what do you rely upon every day as good advice, and what would you share with kids?
I would say don't set a goal that you know you can achieve. Set something that may be a little bit outside of the box, or in my case, completely outside of the box at first. It can be completely outside of the box, and then work to achieve it, even if it's little baby steps.
That's really good advice.
You'll get there.
When you stepped outside the high school and took your shoes off, was that the point at which time you decided I'm going to run a marathon, or was it?
Actually, I wanted to get a couple of races under my belt, and then actually when I was in high school, one year as a joke, I actually registered for the marathon just for fun.
Yeah.
Just to see would I get in.
Yeah.
I didn't have any intention of actually getting in that year, right. But I just wanted to see, could it happen?
Yeah. Yeah. Look at that, it could.
That year, I will admit, it did not. I got declined.
Yeah. And then, like, what's your big audacious goal now? You've run on. What's next?
My big audacious goal is to cut down that time so that I finish within the New York City time limits, which is below 6 hours.
Wow.
I want to finish around 4.5, 5 hours.
What kind of pace is that for you?
That's about a 12-minute pace.
Okay.
But I think that's my goal is to get in under the wire, but I definitely want to get in way below the wire.
Yeah.
I want to get my pace down to about a 9-10 minute mile.
Wow.
Which I think is definitely attainable.
Yeah. Well, you start to, do you remind me, do you do that in your 5Ks or get close to that in your 5Ks and 10Ks and halves now? It's really just about extending it, right?
I can do it for short distances, but the key is now to do it so that I can do it over long distances now. I can do it up to the half marathon.
Yeah.
And then I have to slow down after that.
Yeah.
So I want to get it to the point where I don't have to slow down.
Yeah.
Or if I have to slow down, I have to slow down a little bit, not walk, walk.
Yeah. Got it. That's big stuff. And we'll be cheering for you. And, as you're training around town, we'll also be cheering for you. If you end up running the Wilton Education Foundation race and that ends up happening, we'll hopefully see lots of the town out either physically or virtually to do what you asked, which is just get out and run your first race if you haven't run one before, right?
Exactly.
Bring your families and just try, right? And that would be great.
Always try your best. Always have fun. Even if you don't come in first, doesn't matter.
Right.
Doesn't matter. Just finish.
Yeah. And then, is there anything else that you'd like to say, Alex, or any questions for me, or anything we didn't touch on that you think, we should talk about? This has been really great.
I think that covers it.
What does your shirt say?
This is this is actually one of the original Get Smart shirts.
Here, stand up so we can see it. We can only see Run Happy, which is good, but did you write the shirt? This looks like you read it.
Run happy, run grumpy, run speedy, run slow, run a lot, run a little. Just run.
That's awesome. I think that's you should sign, the bottom of that should be signed, Alex Grano. All right, well, this has been really, really fun. I'm happy that we could talk to you and we can share this story with everybody in town and beyond. I think they are going to enjoy it just as much as I did and be inspired by your efforts and your actions and your spirit. So
I hope so.
We'll see you around town, and we're behind you in your races. And thanks for taking the time.
Absolutely. Pleasure to speak with you.
All right.
Have a good day, Jason.
All right.